Reno, Nevada. 13-year-old driver Evan Rauscher.
Hello and welcome to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm your host, Thomas O'Boyle.
And I'm David Rauscher.
And we're here for the season-ending recap of Rauscher Racing out at Cycleland Speedway. It's been a crazy year. You've come to the end. You're ready to go to the next set of racing and the winter season and indoor racing, and we talked about that previously. So now that it really has come to an end, how are you feeling?
We feel pretty good. We're pretty happy where we ended up at Cycleland. We're pretty happy where we're sitting, getting ready to go into Red Bluff on Thursday afternoon. So we're getting geared up. We got a few more changes on the cars to make, and we're ready to hit the road.
Nice. And we're gonna do a recap. The races will be a recap of their whole season. Is there any race that stood out to you? Obviously the accidents, but any races that stood out to you this year?
No, not really. I enjoy being at the track and all the, watching the boys race. It's for me, it's just a lot of fun being at the track. That's, if I could get a house next to the racetrack, that would be perfect for me.
You could live with the all the time.
Oh yeah. If I couldn't hear it outside my own door, I might as well go listen to others,
Right, there you go.
So.
We talked about it already, but fixes or anything new you want to do with the vehicles?
More power. We always need more engine power. We can never, as a race car driver, you can never make enough power. Getting it hooked to the ground is another problem. We'll cross that problem when we start making enough power, but that's our big thing.
So you say more power. Now, how do you go about on those kind of race cars getting the more power? Tell the fans a little bit about it.
It's all about the size of your cylinder and the style of piston you run, how much squish you have in the head. The shape of the dome inside of the head on a 500 engine makes a huge difference. So it's all things, like I said, it's all things that we get a hold of Jim Zimmerman in Montana and be like, work your magic. This is what we're looking for. And
so that's you said that before. Now you're going to send them off to Montana, have somebody work on them, and then they'll send them back.
Yep.
And then what happens on the in between if you're finding out it's not where you want it to be? You have to send it all the way back.
Yeah, but he's got ways to dyno tune things and check things out and make sure it's right. And he's got tons of experience in this field. It's not like you're sending it to him and you got your fingers crossed. He can do all the math formulas and figure out, between the bore and the stroke and the squish you have in the piston, what kind of horsepower you're going to make. And then, like I said, we can always put it on a dyno, and fine tune things and make power.
So what are you anticipating coming with the indoor track and the boys getting out there doing that?
I anticipate a lot more fun. It's going to be, like I said, it's breathtaking watching this indoor racing. It's a lot closer than, you don't have the big 8th mile or whatever, to spread out. You're literally in a rodeo arena.
Okay.
They're going to race on a track that's probably smaller than a basketball court that you go watch UNR play on.
Yeah.
And so, there's not a lot of room for error here, and at times we will pay the price, and at times others will. And
that's more of a fun season, right? They're not really looking for points like Cycleland and things like that, right?
Right. No, we're not going to run the point season at Red Bluff. Like I said, we're going to be fair weather racers. If we can get there without chaining up to get over the hill, we'll make as many as we can, but it's definitely not going to be a whole point season.
Well, I'm personally hoping for a light winter so you guys can get out there and race and the boys can get some feeling on the different tracks and learn some other experiences. How do you feel with Evan getting ready to be part of the pit crew?
I think he's gonna have fun. It's gonna be enjoyable. I think Evan's a lot like I am. If he can just be at the racetrack, he's having fun. Being at the racetrack it's a different experience. If you've never been to a racetrack, it's like I said, it's just different. I don't know how to explain it because I grew up there. That's what we do. So.
Right. So we're gonna end the show this week with your wife and Brent's mom at the last segment. So anything you want to say to the community about this season or anything?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for your support. We appreciate it. You know, like I said, if anybody wants to jump on board and help any of the three boys out, you know, hit us up, you know, for us at Rauscher Racing on Facebook, or Rauscher Racing at 95 at Yahoo, or hit up Brent Rauscher Motorsports on Facebook. Get a hold of them. You know, it's, even if you don't want to give money, or, you know, maybe you want to come help out. Maybe you want to come check out what the experience is at the racetrack. Like I said, it's a different feeling. I'm sure talking to the ladies at the end of the show, they'll give you a different view, because they both married into this. They had no clue what kind of craziness they were getting wrapped up in. Right. So.
Okay, well, we'll be right back. All right, race fans, welcome back. I'm here with Blake Rauscher, car number 3R, and we're coming to the end of the season. We've come to the end of the season officially. This is our end of season recap. We're going to show a bunch of different races from your season, about a little 5-minute video. Now that you can basically, how do you feel?
I'm not sure how I really feel about it, because obviously Cycleland's really fun, but going Red Bluff Racing, and I'm excited to do that. I'm really excited to do that. But yeah, I feel pretty good now that the season's over, but hopefully we're able to get back out there again soon. I don't know how many Red Bluff races my dad wants to make, but hopefully we get out there a decent amount, because I like going there. It's just really fun.
Right. And I know you're getting ready and doing basketball and stuff. Will that interfere with your Red Bluff races, or is basketball now going to take priority?
No, if there's races, I don't know if we have any games this year on Saturdays, but obviously I'll take those off because I want to go racing. But I'm not sure when we have our basketball season yet, so hopefully they don't intertwine, because I don't want that.
Okay, so right now the school's just letting you practice and get ready in case they can start a season.
We're going to have a season at some point, but we're not sure when. It could be at like any point, so hopefully they just not at the same time.
And what position are you going to concentrate on?
For basketball?
Yeah.
I'm not guard. I'm a guard. I'm not really good at down low, so. Okay. I'm a guard, but at our school, on varsity, we have to play all positions depending on where our coach put us last year. We have a new coach this year, so... You're
not even sure then, huh?
Yeah, so...
All right.
Yeah.
So before we go to your video and everything, do you have a particular race? I know you had a couple wrecks, but do you have a particular race that stands out to you, or do the wrecks stand out to you most? What's your season for you?
That's a hard one. I'm not really sure if I had a race that really stood out to me. They were all pretty good, but I'm not sure if I had like a favorite or like worst race. But yeah, they were all pretty good. None of the wrecks really stand out, except I think my second race where I had the big tumble out one stands out.
Yeah, that was
my big one. Yeah.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not sure. They're all pretty good. I don't really favor them over another.
And we talked all year. All three of you, you guys said you weren't really too worried about the points, but you finished well. How did that make you feel, knowing you weren't concentrating on going after a point season?
It's a little weird, because like we talk about it and it's like, dang, I maybe want to go out there and do a little better, but we weren't doing that, and it was good, and yeah.
All right, so the big question now is, how do you feel going into next season, back to Cycleland and stuff? You've had some time with this car and everything. How do you feel about where you can go with it next?
I feel good. So we have the car we have now. We have notes written down. I wrote down some notes for tire pressures I was putting on both of our cars, and we wrote those down, because sometimes we write down a lot of notes, but we sometimes lose them. We go back to tracks. It's a long period of time before you race at a different track like Red Bluff, and sometimes you get a little mixed up. So I think what we have now, if we go back, we'll start off pretty good. So hopefully that's what we do, because when we got there this year, we were a little lost. We were trying a bunch of different stuff, and then we got to where we wanted, like a few races in, and then it was good. So we're gonna hopefully go in there starting with that, and then yeah, hopefully we start off strong.
Do you have any big plans on moving up to any bigger vehicles, any bigger race cars? Are you looking to go up and up, like football or basketball, you keep moving up?
I'm not sure. It's crossed our minds a couple times. I have had a couple people that want me to drive, like my best friend Jacob Diaz. He races hobby stocks and Susanville and McFallon, and he has a couple of cars this year, and he always wants me to come race. He wanted me to come race with him a couple times this year,
right?
But we were so busy doing points every single weekend, I couldn't. So if we do that again, I don't know if I'll be able to, but he wants me to come drive one. And then we've had an offer. My dad told me someone wanted me to drive his hobby stock again, And then,
Very nice.
So yeah, so I got a couple people, but I don't know if we're going to. That'd be pretty cool too. It's a different experience.
So the multi-lap racing, does that give you anything you think you might want to do in the future? Like, almost NASCAR style, where you start off lower, but you're still doing like, 50, 100 laps.
Oh yeah, like USAC stuff. They got USAC and midgets and wingless, and then we have like the 410 sprint car stuff like that. Like you start in midgets and then you usually work your way up. A bunch of people that we raced with, like at Cycleland, they get spotted and they get taken to big teams like that, and they start off at midgets, and then they do some like wingless racing, and then right now Logan Seavey, he does a bunch of like USAC midgets and stuff like that. So that'd be something cool to do.
All right. Well, why don't we take a look at your end of season recap, and when we come back, we'll be with your brother Evan.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back. All right, race fans, welcome back. I'm with Evan, 07 race car. We've come to the end of the season. We just talked to your brother and your dad. How do you feel? The same question. How do you feel now that you can say, I get a break for a minute, inside the car anyway?
It's pretty good. The season went pretty well in my opinion. Since for my rookie year, got Rookie of the Year, and I did pretty. I think I made 4 A mains, so that was a pretty good year for me.
Yeah, and that's the big thing this year. You know, you guys said you weren't going after the points, but you actually wound up being Rookie of the Year. So let's take the racing out for a minute. How does that feel? Like, you're in the record books.
That feels pretty good. Just like getting Rookie of the Year is like people like Kyle Larson did it, and I really look up to him. So
Right, that's a big name right there that started there and did the same thing you did. So now, does that give you any interest in going in towards like the NASCAR, the bigger stock car races? Is that something you might be interested in?
yeah, that'd be pretty cool to do that. But how Blake said, I like want to race like USAC stuff and like World of Outlaw sprint cars and late models and stuff like that.
Nice. And same thing, you know, you're getting ready for basketball season, but you're going to be part of the crew for your cousin Brent. Are you looking forward to doing that part of the job and not being in the car?
Yeah, I think it would be pretty fun to. Every time you go to Red Bluff or Cycleland or anywhere, I'm always usually racing, and it's been quite a bit since I've got to just be a crew member and stuff like that. So I think it would be pretty fun to do that.
And do you think that that will help you when you get back into the driver's seat? Do you think that'll make a big difference or not too much?
I don't think it would make too much of a difference, but it might help me, like if I might learn something here and there to put in my car.
I asked your brother, you guys had a lot of races this year. You had a major accident, you got the concussion and stuff. Do you have any races that stand out to you?
Yeah, how you said that one race, that one was like probably my worst race I had. And then probably last weekend, even though it wasn't a points race, it was probably the best race I've been in. I drove the car very well and did some pretty good laps.
So when will be your first weekend with your cousin and up at the next track, on the indoor track?
Well, this upcoming weekend, we're going to go run down the Bush Showdown. So I'll also be racing, but I'll also be working on his car as well.
Yeah. And that's basically, it's 3 days, but it's 2 days of racing, right?
Yeah, so on Thursday it's just practice, and then on Friday they have like qualifying and the heat races, and the dashes I think are also on Friday. Then on Saturday it's just the mains.
With the Rookie of the Year, with the accident, with the good standing around 15, you know, do you have anything major you feel you need to do as a driver for next year, or do you think you're finally getting dialed in?
I just need to drive the car a lot harder. I keep, how I said last week, I drive it more like my 250 than I
Right.
should.
Yeah.
So I just have to drive it harder and keep it up to speed more, and I think that would be pretty well.
All right, well, sounds good. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at your end of season recap, and then when we come back, it'll be your mom and Brent's mom ending the show for us for the year.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's take a look.
Welcome back, race fans, to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm Samantha Rauscher, Brent's mom.
I'm Kimberly Rauscher, Blake and Evan's mom.
We've
like
come
baby.
to the end of Cycleland, the summer season. We are going into the winter season, so that's where we're at.
Yes, we will leave for the track on Thursday morning. The boys will practice at Red Bluff Outlaws. Then on Friday, they will do their heat races, qualifying, trophy dashes, I do believe, and then they're going to have their main events on Saturday. So it should be a fun time. We have big names like Kyle Larson coming to race this race with the boys in the open class. Brent will be making his debut at in the 250 class at Red Bluff Outlaws.
Yep, so he's going to go to Red Bluff for the first time. He's going in his Cycleland car. We're building a special car for his first points race that we'll unveil as a family. It's been an all hands on deck to make this car happen for him.
Yes,
Kim's
everybody.
Custom Tumbler says they don't vinyl cars, but that's who's vinyling his. That's a secret.
We only vinyl certain cars just because of the cutter size. Full-size race cars are a little harder to manage in my little shop, and I cannot print vinyl. So yes, we vinyled Brent's car, so it looks great with his black and green.
So if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can follow Brent through the winter at Rauscher Motorsports on Facebook, and CSTV will continue to follow the boys all the way through the winter, all three boys.
If you want to sponsor Blake and Evan, you can reach me at Rauscher95 at Yahoo. Also follow us on Rauscher Racing on Facebook. That's the best way to reach us is through Facebook. So you guys have gotten to see the recap races of the boys from Cycleland this summer. Blake had a wild ride. He liked to be on his lid quite a bit, but he also did a lot of gains. He made a lot of main events, which is a big thing at Cycleland. To get into that A main event is what we look for on the weekly. Evan, he did really well, kind of struggled a little bit towards the middle, and then towards the end took off as soon as he was able to drive harder into the corners, which you got to see in those last videos, thanks to Samantha filming us every weekend so we get those great shots.
So I have had the pleasure of filming the boys most of their racing career, all three of them. So I've gotten to see some progression. I know that Blake is upside down because he is fighting for every lap, and he tends to get a little high. You can almost see it coming before it comes, but that is actually because he's fighting for that one spot, for one more gain, not because he's giving up and we're just climbing the fence. So it's a privilege for me to be with them week in and week out, through the highs, through the lows. When Brent's frustrated, it's not me he wants, it's usually his Uncle David. When my nephews are frustrated, it's not usually their dad they want, they usually come to our trailer. It's something it's a gift that we have, racing together, that some trailers don't have.
It makes it fun being able to have our family right next door. We get to, laugh together. We see the frustration. We see the tears. Yes, sometimes it is easier for aunts and uncles and grandmas to talk to the kids than it is mom and dad, when we're just as emotional about the situation as the kid is. So it's great that we have each other there every week, and we're glad we're able to bring that to you here in Cold Springs and on Facebook.
So we're going to take you guys back through our family history of racing. There's about 6 weeks that we have off throughout the winter that we're going to bridge you through the boys' dad's racing, their grandpa, great-grandpa, their great-uncles, what that looks like for us to come into racing.
So make sure you keep tuning in to CSTV every Wednesday at 10 a.m.